Lily walked home every evening from her job at the bakery, taking the same quiet path through the park. She enjoyed the peaceful stroll, especially after a long day of work. One evening, as she passed by a large oak tree, she noticed a small, leather-bound diary lying at its base. Curiosity piqued. She picked it up and flipped through the pages. The diary was filled with entries about a woman named Anna, who described her life in vivid detail. Each day after work, Lily read more of Anna's diary. She became engrossed in Anna's world, her joys and sorrows, and her mysterious neighbor, who seemed to watch her every move. The entries became increasingly troubling, with Anna expressing fear and paranoia about the neighbor's intentions. One entry caught Lily's attention. March 3rd, I feel like I'm being followed. Every time I leave the house, I sense someone watching me. I'm scared. Lily's unease grew as she read the next few entries. The neighbor's behavior became more erratic, and Anna's fear more palpable. She decided to share her discovery with her best friend, Tom. Tom, you need to read this diary I found. It's so eerie. This woman, Anna, was terrified of her neighbor. It's like something out of a thriller novel, Lily said, handing Tom the diary. Tom glanced through it and frowned. Lily, this is really creepy. Do you think it's real? I don't know. It feels real. I think we should try to find out more about Anna and what happened to her, Lily replied. Over the next few days, Lily and Tom researched Anna's name and the park where the diary was found. They uncovered an old newspaper article about a woman named Anna who had gone missing a year ago. The article mentioned that she had expressed concerns about her neighbor before her disappearance. Driven by a mix of fear and curiosity, Lily decided to visit Anna's house, which was only a few blocks away from the park. Tom insisted on coming along for safety. When they arrived, they found the house abandoned, with overgrown weeds and boarded-up windows. The eerie silence sent shivers down Lily's spine. They walked around the house, peeking through the cracks in the boarded windows. Suddenly, Tom spotted something in the backyard. It was a small, weathered shed with a rusty padlock. "Do you think we should check it out?" Tom asked, his voice trembling. Lily nodded, her heart pounding. They found a loose window and managed to pry it open. Inside the shed, they discovered a disturbing sight. Photos of Anna, taken from various angles, clearly without her knowledge. There were also pages torn from the diary Lily had found, detailing her growing fear of her neighbor. As they turned to leave, a voice from behind them made them freeze. "Looking for something?" They spun around to see an old man standing in the doorway. His eyes were cold and menacing. "I was wondering when someone would come looking for Anna," he said with a twisted smile. Lily and Tom realized with horror that they were face to face with Anna's neighbor. Before they could react, the man lunged at them, knocking them to the ground. In the struggle, Lily managed to grab a heavy object and struck the man, rendering him unconscious. They called the police, who arrived quickly and took the man into custody. As the officers searched the shed, they found more evidence linking him to Anna's disappearance. The man was arrested, and the case of Anna's disappearance was finally solved. Days later, Lily sat in her living room, reflecting on the harrowing experience. She picked up the diary and turned to the last entry. March 15th. If you're reading this, please find me. I'm trapped. He's watching. Lily shuddered, realizing how close she had come to becoming the next entry in the diary. She vowed never to walk home alone through the park again, grateful that Anna's story had led to the capture of a dangerous man. Episode 2. A New Beginning and an Unexpected Terror. Lily stood at the edge of the town she had called home for so many years, a mixture of excitement and trepidation swirling within her. The events of the past year had left their mark, and she felt a profound need for a fresh start. The discovery of Anna's diary, the eerie investigation with Tom, and the harrowing encounter with Anna's neighbor had changed her in ways she was still coming to terms with. She clutched her suitcase a little tighter, took a deep breath, and boarded the bus that would take her to a new city, a new life. The journey was long, but gave her time to reflect. She watched the scenery change from familiar to unknown, her thoughts drifting back to the diary that had set everything in motion. Anna's fear, her desperate cries for help, and the unsettling presence of her neighbor were etched into Lily's mind. She shook her head, trying to dispel the memories. This move was about leaving the past behind and starting anew. The city she arrived in was bustling with life, a stark contrast to the quiet town she had left. Tall buildings, crowded streets, and the constant hum of activity filled the air. Lily felt a sense of anonymity here, something she craved after the events of the past year. She had rented a small apartment in a historic part of the city, an area known for its old-world charm and tranquility amidst the urban chaos. Her new apartment was cozy and welcoming, a place she hoped would become her sanctuary. She spent the first few days settling in, exploring her neighborhood, and getting to know the local cafes and shops. One building, in particular, caught her eye, a grand, old mansion at the end of the street. It was imposing, with ivy crawling up its stone facade and large windows that seemed to peer into her soul. The mansion appeared abandoned, yet it had a certain allure that piqued her curiosity. Lily learned from a local shopkeeper that the mansion had been empty for years. There were rumors about its previous owners, but no one seemed to know the full story. Some said it was haunted, others believed it was simply too old and expensive to maintain. Despite the eerie tales, Lily found herself drawn to it, often pausing on her walks to admire its architecture and imagine the stories it held. A year passed in this new city, and Lily slowly built a routine for herself. She found a job at a local bookstore, made a few friends, and began to feel a sense of belonging. The mansion, however, remained a constant mystery in her life. She couldn't shake the feeling that it held secrets, much like Anna's diary had. She often wondered who would eventually move in and bring it back to life. One crisp autumn morning, Lily noticed a moving truck parked in front of the mansion. She watched with curiosity as workers carried furniture and boxes inside. Later that day, she saw an old man standing at the gate, directing the movers. He was tall and thin, with silver hair and a kind face. Despite his age, he moved with a certain grace, his presence commanding respect. Over the next few weeks, Lily saw the old man frequently. He spent most of his time in the garden, tending to the overgrown plants and restoring the mansion's former glory. He was always alone, and Lily couldn't help but feel a pang of sadness for him. One day, she decided to introduce herself. "Hello," she called out from the gate, smiling warmly. "I'm Lily. I live down the street." The old man looked up from his work, his eyes crinkling with a friendly smile. "Well, hello there, Lily. I'm Mr. Blackwood. It's nice to meet you." They chatted for a while, and Lily found Mr. Blackwood to be a pleasant and interesting person. He spoke about the mansion's history, his love for gardening, and his plans to restore the old house. Despite his kind demeanor, there was a lingering sadness in his eyes that Lily couldn't ignore. She resolved to visit him often, hoping to bring a little cheer into his life. As the months passed, Lily and Mr. Blackwood developed a friendship. She often brought him baked goods from the bookstore's cafe, and he would share stories of the mansion's past. Despite their growing closeness, Mr. Blackwood remained somewhat of an enigma. He never spoke of his family or why he had chosen to live alone in such a large house. Lily didn't press him, respecting his privacy, but she couldn't help but wonder about the mysteries that surrounded him. One day, Mr. Blackwood invited Lily to a party he was hosting at the mansion. "It's been so long since this house has seen any joy," he said with a wistful smile. "I'd like you to come and celebrate with us." Lily was surprised by the invitation. She had never seen Mr. Blackwood with any guests, but she was delighted at the prospect of seeing the mansion come to life. She accepted the invitation, promising to dress her best for the occasion. On the day of the party, Lily spent extra time getting ready. She wore a beautiful dress she had bought for special occasions, styled her hair, and even put on a little makeup. As she walked to the mansion, she felt a flutter of excitement. The grand house was lit up, casting a warm glow on the street. She knocked on the door, and Mr. Blackwood greeted her with a smile. "Welcome, Lily. You look stunning," he said, taking her hand and leading her inside. The mansion was transformed. Candles flickered in every room, casting a soft light on the elegant decor. A table was set with an array of delicious-looking food and drinks. However, there was no sign of any other guests. "Are we early?" Lily asked, glancing around. Mr. Blackwood chuckled. "No, not at all. They'll be here soon. Please, make yourself comfortable." Lily sat down, trying to ignore the growing unease in her stomach. She sipped on a glass of wine, making small talk with Mr. Blackwood as they waited. Minutes turned into an hour, and still, no one arrived. "Maybe they're running late," Mr. Blackwood said, his smile never faltering. Lily nodded, though her intuition told her something was off. She excused herself to use the restroom, hoping to gather her thoughts. As she wandered through the mansion, she couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. The corridors seemed to stretch endlessly, and the shadows cast by the flickering candles seemed to move with a life of their own. When she returned to the main hall, she found Mr. Blackwood waiting for her, his expression unreadable. "Lily, there's something I need to tell you," he said, his voice low and serious. Before she could respond, he lunged at her with a speed and strength that belied his age. Lily screamed and dodged, narrowly avoiding his grasp. Her heart pounded in her chest as she realized the gravity of her situation. The kind old man she thought she knew was now a menacing predator. "Why are you doing this?" she cried, her voice shaking with fear. "I've been nothing but nice to you." Mr. Blackwood's eyes gleamed with a sinister light. "Don't you remember me, Lily? Let me jog your memory." He took a step closer, his twisted smile sending chills down her spine. "I was wondering when someone would come looking for Anna." Lily's mind raced, trying to make sense of his words. Anna? The name echoed in her head, bringing back memories of the diary, the neighbor, and the terrifying night in the shed. Could it be? Could Mr. Blackwood be connected to Anna's disappearance?
Whispers in the night, shadows in the dark, Anna's voice calls out.